My stepsister broke her leg because mom didn't plan pickup properly, but somehow it's my fault for having my phone on silent. Living between two households as a teenager creates enough complexity without one parent treating you like a personal assistant who must be available 24 hours a day for every random request and emergency. My parents divorced when I was young, and I split time equally between them, 1 week with my dad, then 1 week with my mom and her new family. The contrast between these two environments couldn't be more dramatic in terms of expectations and boundaries. My dad treats me like a teenager with legitimate responsibilities like school and extracurricular activities. He respects that I have a life and commitments that don't revolve around his convenience. My mom, however, has turned me into her unpaid assistant since remarrying. She texts me constantly during school hours expecting immediate responses, asking me to run errands, pick up groceries, collect takeout orders, and increasingly, provide childcare for my 10-year-old stepsister Emma. These aren't occasional favors. They're daily demands that interrupt my education and social development. Mom will text me in the middle of algebra class asking me to stop at the store for milk, or during lunch telling me to pick up Chinese food she ordered. Since she remarried, many of these requests involve Emma. I'm expected to walk her home from school, take her to various activities, and wait around for hours at her basketball practices or other events. Remember, I don't drive, so this means walking everywhere regardless of weather or distance. Constant interruptions became so disruptive that my dad and several teachers encouraged me to put my phone on silent during school hours. This seemed like basic common sense. Students shouldn't be managing family logistics during class time. My mom's reaction to this boundary was extreme and embarrassing. She actually called my school demanding they force me to respond to her texts immediately, as if her convenience shopping requests constituted educational emergencies. This pattern of inappropriate demands and boundary violations came to a head in April, during what became a traumatic incident that my mom somehow decided was my fault. I had after-school activities that day, and kept my phone on silent as recommended by school staff and my father. When I finished and checked my messages, I found increasingly frantic communications from my mom. The first text asked me to pick Emma up from a Girl Scout camping activity. Then there was a missed call, followed by a voice message of my mom screaming because the activity leaders had called to report that Emma had been struck by a bicycle and was at the hospital. When I arrived at my mom's house, no one was there, so I did my homework and waited for information. Hours later, my mom returned and explained what had happened. Emma had been forced to walk home alone from the camping activity because no one came to collect her. During this unsupervised walk, she wasn't being careful about traffic and was hit by a cyclist, resulting in serious injuries. According to my mom, this was entirely my fault because I hadn't seen her text requesting pickup. She claimed Emma was too young to walk alone safely, which raises the obvious question of why she sent a 10-year-old to an activity without confirming transportation arrangements. When I pointed out that this wasn't my responsibility, my mom blew a fuse because she expected me to feel guilty and apologetic. She argued that family obligations should take priority over school activities, apparently forgetting that my education is also important. The argument escalated when my dad defended my position on the phone boundaries. My mom blamed him for siding with the school, instead of acknowledging that her constant interruptions were inappropriate and disruptive to my education. Emma's injuries were serious, a broken leg and knee damage that may cause permanent problems. This is genuinely tragic, and I feel terrible that she was hurt. But feeling sad about her injuries doesn't mean accepting responsibility for my mom's poor planning. Every visit to my mom's house now involves arguments about my alleged lack of remorse. She keeps saying I should be ashamed for not feeling guilty enough about defending myself from false accusations. Her husband supports her position completely, which isn't surprising since he benefits from having free childcare available whenever convenient. Neither of them seems willing to acknowledge that parents are responsible for arranging safe transportation for their children. The fundamental issue isn't Emma's accident, it's my mom's refusal to accept parental responsibility. She created a system where a teenage stepchild was expected to provide emergency childcare while attending school, then blamed that teenager when her inadequate planning resulted in tragedy. I never agreed to be Emma's backup guardian. I never signed up to be on call for family emergencies during school hours. My mom simply assumed I would always be available and responsive, regardless of my own commitments and responsibilities. Emma got hurt because two adults failed to ensure their 10-year-old had safe transportation home. That's a parenting failure, not a teenage stepbrother failure. My mom keeps saying it's disgusting that I defend myself, but what's actually disgusting is blaming a 16-year-old for adult negligence and trying to manipulate him into accepting responsibility for someone else's poor decisions.